square triangles in the smaller size. All I could find is this larger one. But it's really good if you're short of fabric or if you only need a few squares and a few half square triangles, because you can get them both out of the same strip because of the way the rulers are made on the ends. Kinds of just regular straight rulers. They come from about 3 or 3.5 up to 18 or 8 by 24, and the wider it is, the more accurate you are as far as putting it on your straight of your fabric, because the more of the ruler can go on the fabric, the more accurate it's going to be. And that's why it's not recommended that you try to even off the edge of your fabric by using your ruler this way, because you have very little space to make sure that it's accurate. So you either go like this and check and make sure that we're through all the layers, and either do it with your left hand, or you can do it and then do it with your right hand and then turn your mat around. So we'll, how big is that? We can do anywhere up to, we'll do a 4. And when your rulers, you should always, that's why it doesn't bother using the side with no markings, because the rulers are more accurate than your mats. So it's always recommended that you measure with your ruler rather than measuring with your mat.
I never measure with my mat. I don't either.
And you see what I did there to make sure my thing cut all the way? Yes. Is I pulled this fabric rather than move my ruler or my fabric that I'm cutting, because if it's not, I want to just cut through it and not move this, then it'll stay more accurate.
Put that blade back. We're all nervous with that blade.
Oh, this one, okay. I want to use this one because this one shuts.
I know, that's what I prefer too.
Okay, so now we'll see what I can do. Okay, now if you were these easy angles, you can layer your 2 layers that you're going to sew together to make your half square triangles, and you can put the right sides together, and that's what we'll pretend that we've got the right sides together. And why it works is because it has a blunt end and a pointed end. Got this squared up. Now you can sew from that point right down through, and that should be your 1/4 inch seam allowance.
Show it to me, please.
I'm sorry. You got a point up there. If you sew from that point down, you'll have a 1/4 inch seam allowance. If you put this end in, a lot of machines you run into more of a problem. This end doesn't like to be fed in first. Then you just rotate your ruler and get another set, and you don't have any waste. You also can get the square of the same size right out of the same strip, and that just makes it, as I said, good if you have you're short of fabric, you don't happen to have the width you need, or if you're using the same fabric and making squares and half square triangles out of the same fabric. and you just need a few of them, it works well. And these are all ready to sew. I mean, you put them right sides together so you can just pile them up and then just go right along and sew them in an assembly line fashion. And this comes in a smaller, more usable size, but I think it must be in some project because it wasn't in my drawer. But then you're much more accurate if you then fold it in half and match your edges, because the further you have to stretch to cut, the less accurate you get, because your hand gets weaker as it reaches out further. So it's better to cut, and any of these, either size of these, will go through those 4 layers without a problem, as long as the blade is sharp.